sometimes it's really fun to scrap, especially if you really think you're going to win, if you really believe in what you have going for you. This is going to be a really good week for spinning up that narrative to get yourself in position to go out there and win, get your mind right so that you can win. And this is also a good week to, if what you want to do is sow seeds of resentment in the situation and try and trip the other guys up, this is a good week for that too. What's going on? It's Zamboni. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. This week we got the main thing that is happening this week is Venus is moving out of Virgo and into Libra. This is, from a Venus standpoint, this is really, really nice. Venus has been in fall in Virgo for a few weeks here, has been opposite to Saturn for a week and a half or something. Yikes. Venus, Venus in Virgo is just like, the fun things are not that much fun. The pleasure is not that pleasurable. And then opposite to Saturn, there's like obstacles in the way. It's a bunch of no kind of situation, right? So this has been good for quality control and copy editing and this kind of thing, right? Like making sure that all of the flaws that had been in the situation are not there. But that is no fun. And Venus moving into Libra this week, which is Venus's home place. This is Venus's domicile. This is Venus very good at doing the Venus things. This looks like a return to a kind of pleasure, a kind of ability to cooperate. I always think about Venus and Libra as like the hostess with the mostest, right? There's something elegant about holding the party space together, or putting us into connection with one another, and making sure that everyone's values are heard and this kind of thing, right? Libra and the scales, like when we care a lot about what's going on the other side over there, and weighing things up so that things can be fair and just and all of these kinds of things, right? So Venus in Libra looks great for things feeling a little bit better. Now, what it is immediately interesting here is that before we get to some really nice Venus and Libra stuff, Venus is going to move into Libra and is immediately going to oppose Neptune in Aries and make a trine to Uranus in Gemini. So Neptune in Aries, I've been thinking about that as like the dream of the champion or something like this. It's this idea that Neptune is the sort of space of dreams and metaphors and symbolism and all of that kind of thing, and that it's like the dream that turns into a thought, that turns into action, ultimately that turns into shapes and like forms in the world, but it starts out as the dream, right? And so Neptune as the wellspring of dreams in Aries is very much caring about like being the baddest around, and like showing the other guys that you're stronger or more right than they are, this kind of thing. So Venus moving into Libra and opposing that Neptune immediately, and also making this trine to Uranus and Gemini, who cares a lot about like telling stories in an innovative and new kind of way. This looks to me very much like it is making pleasurable or making fun the sense of winning against the other guys. So this is going to be really good for spinning up a narrative that creates some kind of conflict or difficulty or something like that. You know, the best iteration that I can think of this is the idea, like think about Michael Jordan making up slights in his head, making up insults that other people didn't actually say to him, but he feels like he has to take that personally, and because he takes it personally, then that motivates his game, that motivates him to dominate on the court in a way that no one else is able to do, right? It's that sense of like imagination that, and it's like kind of fun to think about destroying the other guy and then to go and then actually do it. The fun part is the anticipation of actually doing it, right? That is kind of how I'm feeling about this Venus opposite to Neptune here. I think that it's going to be there's plenty of room for that kind of dream. Now, Venus in Libra can have lots of dreams, and if you want to think through what kind of dreams Venus and Libra could have, kind of generally, if you want to do astrology readings, or if you want to know what this can do for you in your own life, feel free to go to zambonifong.com. It is, you can find readings there. You can find a course on astrology there. So if you want to learn how to take all of these different delineations and make something new and fresh out of it for yourself, all of that information is available there. Also, you can go to Patreon and get a timing guide. There's really good timing this month for defeating the other guy and being kind of ruthless about it a little bit. If you need to do that, this is a good month for that kind of thing. There's information there, all at the links in the bio. So the other thing that's happening at that same moment while Venus is in Libra opposite to Neptune in Aries, Aries, of course, is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in Scorpio. Mercury is also there in Scorpio, and so Mercury is coming up to conjoin that Mars and just working on that conjunction all week. So Mercury and Mars, Mercury is going to be our communicator planet, right? That's the one that has words, who is cares a lot about the in-between space, like how are we going to convey information from this side to that side. So it's not only words, we're also going to be looking at body language and stuff like that, especially in Scorpio. Emotional intelligence will come up a lot of this and this kind of thing, right? And so there's this idea that like how we perform in space is communicative to the other, right? Then also the two of them there, Mars is going to be our athlete or the war maker, or the blacksmith, the one who sits in intemperate heat in order to create in his own image the world that he wants to create, right? That's Mars. And so put that with Mercury at the same time. It's trash talk. It's like getting in there and saying a bunch of shit, either to make yourself larger, to make the other guy smaller, or, you know, like I was saying here earlier, is like sowing seeds of resentment in between the other team or something like that. Like this definitely looks like the kind of thing, Scorpio, right? It gets under your skin. And so that kind of diversionary tactic looks like it's a pretty big deal this week. And then, so like at the same moment that Venus is opposite to Neptune, then the moon is going to come through Leo and make a square to Mercury and Mars and in Scorpio. So a square is going to be conflict and that kind of thing. It's going to really want to activate all of the Mercury Mars stuff in a pretty big way. And so activating Mercury and Mars, trash talking, angry words, spiteful words, these kinds of things, it's not. It's going to be a good idea to remember that Scorpio is also associated with grudges and vengeance. So I would expect old drama to show up in some kind of like red-eyed, like I have to destroy them now kind of way. And then so like while Venus is sort of like delighting in the dream of victory, then the moon is going to come through and make this square and activate Mercury and Mars. And so it looks again like it's a lot of strong Mars is happening here. Now Mars can be really good for when you need a little bit of ruthless brutality. You need to like get in there and make something happen that might be a little bit ugly and might be a little bit angry, or I like to think about Scorpio as being fixed water, and so it's water that's fixed in its course, right? And so there's a rushing river kind of element to that. And so if we think about the kind of energy that anger is, anger can drive a lot of creativity. Anger can really get something to happen that otherwise it can get you off your ass. It's motivating in a lot of ways, right? It's the thing that like gets your heart pumping, and it's like, all right, let's actually get out here and do it because I have to now, right? And so this is going to be a really good moment for channeling that kind of thing, getting it to be fixed in its course, getting it to be direct in some kind of way, and also strategically useful. Mercury in Scorpio is going to be really good at being strategically useful. So how can we take this little bit of pleasure that's going to come in here with Venus and Libra and take that pleasure of fantasy and channel it toward ends that are useful and that it's like a direct action, right? Like actually moving toward a thing. And, we are in a place where the rules are kind of fuzzy. Like, does anybody know what the law is around, if we're looking at Uranus and Gemini, innovation and new technology and all of that sort of stuff? Like, are there any rules out here? What if I just did what I feel like doing? Can I just go in and make direct action happen? This might be a week to imagine these kinds of things. Check out zambonifong.com.